When strength begins to fade, start with a spoon. Dear friend, have you felt it too? That quiet shift in your body so subtle at first that you might have brushed it off. Maybe it was the moment you realized you couldn't carry groceries up the stairs without pausing halfway. Or the time you bent down to tie your shoes and stood back up a little slower than usual. That persistent mental haze you've begun to chalk up as just aging. Maybe, somewhere deep inside, you've even whispered the question no one wants to say aloud. Am I losing my edge? If this sounds familiar, please know you're not alone and you're not broken. After more than years working in midlife and senior health, there's one belief I hold firmly. Your body, even after 50, 60, or 70, has not lost its potential to thrive. It simply needs the right kind of nourishment, the kind it understands. You see, the modern world often throws two extreme solutions at men in your stage of life. 1. Do nothing and accept that decline is inevitable. 2. Dive into strong medications, hormone injections, or intense gym programs that feel more punishing than healing. But the truth lies somewhere in between. It lies in the small, intentional acts. It lies in a spoonful of support given daily, naturally, patiently. And today, I want to walk you through a blend of 7 such supports. Not mysterious, not magical. Just pure, clinically supported ingredients, ones that your body can recognize, absorb, and respond to like an old friend returning home. Each one of these ingredients holds a unique key. Some unlock natural testosterone production. Others reduce the silent inflammation that creeps through joints and tissues. A few sharpen mental clarity, while others restore metabolic flow, calm the nervous system, or reawaken libido and emotional connection. Taken together, they don't form a miracle. They form a biological symphony that rebuilds your foundation, quietly and steadily. But before we dive into the first ingredient, I'd love to know, what's your name, and where in the world are you watching from? Leave a comment below. I truly want to know who I'm sharing this journey with today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to share them either. I read as many as I can, and often shape future content around the concerns you express. Now, let's begin. Let's meet the first member of this 7. Peace Team, a root that grows high in the Peruvian Andes and has been called the Earth's gift of strength for centuries. Ingredient 1, maca root, the awakener of inner vitality. Maca root, its name may be new to your ears, but to the indigenous communities of Peru, it's a sacred gift. For over 2,000 years, this hardy root has been used as a source of stamina, sexual vigor, mental clarity, and hormone balance. They didn't need laboratories to know it worked. They simply observed life. The farmers, the warriors, the elders, those who consumed maca, regularly moved with energy and resilience well into old age. What makes maca so special? It's not just a superfood for headlines. It's an adaptogen, a term in herbal medicine that means it helps the body adapt to stress and restore balance. Maca doesn't push or override your biology. Instead, it listens to what your body needs and gently nudges it toward equilibrium. Imagine your energy system as a series of old light bulbs, not burnt out, just dimmed. Time, stress, poor sleep, and environmental toxins have turned down the dial, one bulb at a time. What maca does is restore the current. Not like caffeine, which jolts you like a slap on the face, but more like a sunrise, slow, steady, organic. The way you wake after a truly restful night. The way you breathe when you're finally at peace. From a medical standpoint, maca has been shown to support the hypothalamus, pituitary axis, the master control center for hormone production in your body. In men over 50, it helps stimulate natural testosterone production, enhance libido, and increase sperm quality, all without interfering with the body's own regulation system, the way synthetic hormones do. But its power doesn't end there. For women, post-menopause, maca helps rebalance estrogen, improve mood, and ease the inner disconnection many feel from their bodies. It doesn't force, it restores. In my practice, I've seen men return weeks after beginning a daily maca regimen, with eyes a little brighter, words a little faster, posture a little taller. One patient, John, 62, retired pilot, told me, "Doc, it's not that I feel young again. It's more like I remember the body I used to have. It came back to me, piece by piece." That's the quiet magic of maca. It doesn't just stimulate, it awakens. And now that we've introduced the root that wakes up your system, it's time to meet the next natural ally, one that helps calm the fires silently burning inside your tissues and joints. Ginger, the silent flame quencher. If maca is the awakening breath, the gentle light flickering back into a tired system, then ginger is the quiet firefighter, roaming your body not with sirens and hoses, but with cool precision, putting out the flames you didn't even know were there. Let me explain. Every day, without our noticing, tiny sparks of inflammation ignite within us. In the joints that ache when we stand, in the blood vessels that struggle to deliver oxygen, in the brain cells that lose their edge. Inflammation isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, the kind of ache you chalk up to the weather, the sluggishness you call a bad day, the stiffness that creeps in quietly like a shadow. But here's what most people over 50 don't realize. Chronic, low, grade inflammation is the root behind most of what we call aging. And this is where ginger comes in, not just as a kitchen spice or a folk remedy, but as a cellular, level healer backed by centuries of tradition and decades of science. Ginger contains a group of compounds known as gingerols, active molecules that act like tiny scouts moving through your bloodstream, tissues, and joints. Where they find heat inflammation, they act like a cooling rain. They don't suppress symptoms. They address the source. Like a stream running beneath a smoldering house, gingerols soothe, balance, and restore. Let me give you an image. Imagine your body is an old wooden cabin in the woods. Underneath the floorboards, unseen, are little embers, not full flames, but glowing hot spots. You don't smell smoke yet. You don't feel heat on your skin. But inside, the structure is changing. Now imagine ginger as a soft, steady stream of cool water. Not aggressive, not overwhelming, but persistent, flowing through the cracks, reaching the embers before they rise. That's how ginger works on your inflammation. And here's the beauty. Ginger doesn't just work in your knees or spine. It calms the entire internal environment from your digestive tract to your cardiovascular system, from your brain to your nerves. Because inflammation isn't confined. It's networked. And ginger travels the network. In fact, newer research has shown that gingerols also have neuroprotective effects, helping reduce oxidative stress in the brain. That means better focus, less mental fog, and potentially even lower risk of degenerative conditions like Alzheimer's. For those of us over 50 where forgetfulness begins to knock on the door, ginger may be one of the most underappreciated allies. But I don't just speak from studies. Let me share a moment. Years ago, when I turned 56, I began experiencing a quiet but persistent ache in my knees. It wasn't sharp, just enough to make me pause at every staircase. I tried stretching, hot compresses, even a week of over-the-counter anti-inflammatories. Nothing seemed to hold. Then, I added ginger to my morning blend, just a teaspoon of pure ginger powder. Within 2 weeks, the ache began to dull. Another week later, I noticed something simple. I took the stairs without thinking. That pause, that hesitation, it was gone. No drama, no big moment. Just a return to natural ease. That, dear friend, is what healing often looks like. Not a breakthrough, but a quiet homecoming. And before we move on, I want to share one more insight. Most people think aging means pain is inevitable. They shrug off stiffness as normal. They call their inflammation just part of life. But that's not the whole truth. Yes, wear and tear is real. Yes, our bodies change. But many of the discomforts we accept as aging are actually signs that the body is supported. And with the right support, it remembers how to heal. So let ginger be that support. Let it flow through you like a soft river, soothing the sore spots you can feel and the deeper ones you can't. And once those silent fires have been quenched, it's time to call in the architect, the ingredient that doesn't just calm inflammation, but restructures it at its core. Because if ginger is the water, the next ingredient is the one that rewires the very system from which the fire begins. We'll get to that in just a moment. Turmeric, the inflammation circuit breaker. If ginger is the steady stream that calms the surface flames, then turmeric is the master switch, the one that reaches down to the control panel itself to flip off the signals that start the fire in the first place. Let's step back for a moment. What most people don't realize is that inflammation isn't the enemy. In fact, it's one of the body's most ancient and vital defense mechanisms. When you twist an ankle, scrape your skin, or catch a cold, inflammation is what rallies the immune system to heal. It sends white blood cells to the scene, increases blood flow, builds heat to fight infection. It's the body doing its job. But when inflammation becomes chronic, staying turned on, even when there's no real threat, that's when it shifts from healing to harming. And in people over 50, that chronic low-level inflammation can be hiding in the gut, the brain, the arteries, even in muscle fibers and nerve endings. That's what makes turmeric so profound. Because turmeric, and more specifically, its active compound, curcumin, doesn't just soothe inflammation the way ginger does. It modulates it. It reprograms the response itself. Let me put it this way. Imagine your body as a house with a faulty electrical system. Every time you flip on a light, sparks shoot from the wires. Even when nothing's wrong, the circuits keep sending danger signals. The lights flicker. The appliances hum irregularly. You get used to it, but deep down, you know something's off. Now imagine curcumin as a skilled electrician. He doesn't just clean up the sparks. He goes to the fuse box. He finds the broken switch. And quietly, methodically, he rewires it so the system works as it was always meant to. That's how curcumin works on the NF-washed signaling pathway, the molecular alarm that tells your body to trigger inflammation. When that alarm is stuck in the on position, your body lives in a state of low-key alert, using up resources, slowing healing, exhausting energy. Curcumin helps turn that alarm off, not by suppressing your immune system, but by restoring balance. But here's the key. Not all turmeric is created equal. Many of the brightly colored powders on store shelves are cut with fillers, cornstarch, artificial dyes, or low-potency blends that offer color without power. So if you're going to use turmeric, make sure it's pure, organic, and standardized for curcumin content. When used correctly, the effects of turmeric are nothing short of profound. Many of my patients describe feeling not just less pain, but something deeper, a lightness, a clearer head, a body that moves more smoothly, a mind that feels less burdened. There's a scientific reason for that, too. Curcumin doesn't just act on inflammation in the joints or digestive tract. It also crosses the blood-brain barrier, allowing it to work inside your nervous system, where it has shown promise in reducing neuroinflammation a contributor to depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline, supporting memory function, enhancing mood and alertness. In one clinical study, adults taking curcumin reported improved attention and working memory in just a few weeks. Another study showed that curcumin may support the growth of new brain cells, a process once thought impossible after a certain age. Let that sink in. After 50, when most people assume their best years of mental clarity are behind them, turmeric is quietly supporting regeneration, not just fighting decay, building anew. And that's what this entire journey is about, isn't it? Not clinging to youth, but reclaiming vitality. Not pretending we're 30, but giving our 60-year-old body what it needs to feel whole, strong, steady, awake. In one of my favorite metaphors, a patient once told me, "After 2 weeks on this blend, I felt like someone had opened a window in my head. There was more light inside." That's turmeric. Not a stimulant, not a quick fix. Just a deep recalibration, a return to balance. Now, once inflammation has been calmed from both the surface through ginger and the source through turmeric, there's another piece of the puzzle we need to address: energy. Because what good is a pain-free body if it's always tired? What's the use of reduced inflammation if your metabolism feels like it's moving through mud? This is where we call in the next natural helper, one that affects every cell in your body, and especially the ones responsible for converting food into energy. It's small, sweet, and hiding in plain sight, often dusted over cinnamon rolls or stirred into coffee. But in its purest form, it has the power to restore metabolic function and reignite the energy flow you thought you lost. That's what we'll explore in the next part of our journey. Cinnamon, the gatekeeper of cellular energy. We've calmed the surface fires with ginger. We've rewired the internal circuit breakers with turmeric. Now, it's time to restore the flow of energy, the life force that moves silently through every cell in your body. And for that, we turn to something simple, something sweet, something you probably know well, but may have never truly understood: cinnamon. Yes, the same warm, aromatic spice that reminds us of winter mornings and baked goods holds within it a remarkable key. A key that unlocks the very doors through which energy enters your cells. Let me explain. At the heart of your body's energy system lies a delicate process: how your cells take in glucose, the sugar your body converts from food, and transform it into usable energy. Each of your cells has little doors, insulin receptors, that must open to let glucose in. When you're young, these doors respond quickly. They open wide. They keep your energy steady and your mind clear. But as we age, especially after 50, these doors begin to stick. Insulin becomes less effective. Glucose lingers in the blood instead of entering cells. And what happens next is subtle, but powerful. You start to feel tired after eating. You experience energy crashes in the afternoon. Your mental clarity declines. Sugar cravings increase. And worst of all, your metabolism slows, leading to stubborn weight gain and rising blood sugar levels. Now here's where cinnamon steps in, not just as a flavor, but as a biological lubricant. Cinnamon has been shown in numerous studies to increase insulin sensitivity, which means it helps those sticky cellular doors swing open more easily. It encourages glucose to be absorbed at the right time, in the right place, in the right amount, and that makes all the difference. Think of it this way. Your cells are like quiet rooms, each with its own purpose. Glucose is the guest, waiting to enter and fuel them. But over time, the locks on the doors become rusty. Cinnamon acts like a master key, gently turning the knob, restoring the flow so that energy once again goes where it belongs. And when energy flows freely again, you feel it. You wake up clearer. You move with steadier momentum. you're less reactive to stress. And most importantly, your cravings for sugar decrease, not because you're fighting them, but because your body no longer needs to beg for a quick fix. In clinical trials, just half a teaspoon of pure cinnamon powder per day has been associated with improved fasting glucose levels, lowered LDL cholesterol, and better insulin function in people with metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. But as always, purity matters. We're not talking about sugary cinnamon blends used in cereals. We mean Ceylon cinnamon, the true variety. Softer in taste, but richer in active compounds like cinnamaldehyde, which is responsible for its metabolic benefits. In my consultations, I often refer to cinnamon not as a spice, but as a gatekeeper, one who quietly ensures that energy gets distributed correctly throughout your biological house. One of my patients, Miguel, 67, a former math teacher, once said something that struck me. He told me, "Before I added cinnamon, I thought my tiredness was just my age, but now I know it was my body asking for help and not getting it." Miguel began using this natural blend, just 1 spoon a day. Within 2 weeks, his afternoon slumps faded. Within a month, he said he felt like his engine finally idled smoothly again. And that's what cinnamon offers. A return to rhythm. Not a spike, not a crash, but a steady hum like a well-tuned engine doing exactly what it was made to do. Now, once your energy systems are flowing again when the glucose is absorbed, the metabolism is humming, and the cravings are quiet, it's time to nourish a higher center, the mind. Because what use is a healthy body if the brain is foggy? What joy is strength if the thoughts are heavy? This is where we transition into the next phase of our Formula One that nurtures your brain, brightens your mood, and brings clarity back into your days. And the answer may surprise you. It's found in something dark, bitter, and often misunderstood, sitting quietly in your kitchen cupboard, waiting to be rediscovered. We'll meet it in just a moment. Cocoa, the awakener of the mind. Let me ask you something quietly. Have you ever walked into a room and paused, forgetting why you were there? Or sat with a book in your hands, rereading the same paragraph 3 times without retaining a word? Or perhaps you've woken up with a heaviness in your head. Not pain exactly, but a sense of mental fog, as if your thoughts were trapped behind a curtain you couldn't quite lift. If so, you are far from alone. And no, it's not just old age. What you're feeling is a body whose energy may be intact, but whose mental circuits are struggling to light up. But what if I told you that one of the most effective ways to reignite your brain's natural rhythm has been sitting in your kitchen all along? Perhaps overlooked, perhaps misunderstood. I'm talking about pure cocoa powder. Not the sugary chocolate syrup in your pantry, not the milk chocolate bar filled with dairy and additives, but unsweetened, unprocessed, bitter cocoa rich in compounds your brain recognizes like an old friend. You see, cocoa is far more than a treat. In its purest form, it is one of the most potent natural sources of flavanols plant-based compounds that have been shown to improve blood flow to the brain, reduce oxidative stress, and even protect brain cells from age-related damage. Let's go back to the image of a river. In your younger years, blood flow to your brain is like a steady mountain stream, clean, fast, full of oxygen. It feeds your thoughts, your memory, your emotional clarity. But over time, with stress, poor sleep, inflammation, and age, that stream slows. The riverbed begins to dry, and you feel it in your focus, your creativity, your ability to respond quickly in conversation, even in your emotional resilience. Now imagine cocoa as a gentle rainfall over that parched stream. Each sip, each spoonful, dilates the tiny capillaries in your brain, allowing more blood, more oxygen, more nutrients to flow where they're needed most. It doesn't force, it opens. It doesn't stimulate, it restores. And it does more than just sharpen your memory. Cocoa is a natural source of theobromine, a compound similar to caffeine, but gentler, offering alertness without the jitteriness. It also contains tryptophan, an amino acid your body uses to produce serotonin, the neurotransmitter that regulates mood, sleep, and that elusive feeling of inner balance. I often tell my patients, when the mind is foggy, it's not always a lack of motivation sometimes. It's a lack of circulation. Cocoa brings back the flow. I remember a woman in her late 60s, a retired librarian who once told me, "I don't mind growing older, doctor, but I miss feeling sharp. I miss waking up and knowing my thoughts are right there, waiting." We added cocoa to her daily blend, just a teaspoon. 2 weeks later, she walked into my office smiling. "I'm not racing anyone," she said, "but I don't feel like I'm lagging behind myself anymore." That's what I mean when I say cocoa awakens the mind. It doesn't make you superhuman. It simply helps you be yourself again. And once your brain is receiving the nourishment it needs when the fog lifts, and the light returns, you begin to experience life differently. The world becomes more vivid. Conversations become easier. The morning feels less heavy. You reconnect not just with ideas, but with people, because clarity brings connection. Now, if you're still here, you've already noticed a pattern. Maca awakened the hormonal foundation. Ginger cooled silent inflammation. Turmeric rewired the inflammatory system. Cinnamon restored metabolic rhythm. And now, cocoa has reignited the mental flame. But there's more, because strength isn't just a feeling. It's a physical reality tied to the muscles that hold you upright, the nerve signals that keep you steady, and the energy your cells need to move without fatigue. And that's what we'll explore next. An ingredient that most people associate with gym goers and athletes, but which, in truth, may be one of the most important nutrients for men and women over 50. Its name is creatine. But before we dive into that, take a moment. Place your hand gently over your heart. Close your eyes for 5 seconds and feel the quiet presence of a mind that is coming back online. Creatine, the recharge for muscle, memory, and movement. By now, you've begun to understand that the body is not a machine to be forced. It's a system to be supported, a biological symphony whose instruments include hormones, energy, focus, inflammation, and yes, movement. But movement is not just about willpower. It's not just about pushing through. To move with confidence after 50, you need something fundamental. You need cellular energy stored in your muscles, ready to be called upon the moment you rise from bed, lift a bag, or climb a set of stairs. This is where we bring in a nutrient that your body already knows but may be running low on. It's called creatine. Now I know what some of you may be thinking. Isn't that for bodybuilders? That's a fair question. For years, creatine has been marketed as a sports supplement, something for young men lifting weights in gyms. But that narrow view has hidden a far more powerful truth. Creatine is one of the most researched, safe, and effective supplements for older adults, especially those seeking to rebuild strength, enhance brain function, and restore their ability to move independently. Let me explain how it works. Every time you lift your leg, grip a handle, or rise from a chair, your muscles use ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the basic unit of energy in your body. But ATP gets used up quickly. Creatine is the molecule that helps you regenerate ATP, especially during short bursts of activity. Think of your muscles like rechargeable batteries. Over time, they lose the ability to hold a full charge. You don't notice it all at once. It starts as a little weakness, a hesitation before standing, or a quicker sense of fatigue after simple tasks. Creatine acts like a powerful charger, refueling the batteries and restoring their capacity to generate quick, clean energy. But it doesn't stop at the muscles. Creatine also plays a vital role in the brain. In fact, certain regions of your brain, particularly those responsible for focus, mood, and short-term memory, rely on creatine to maintain mental energy. When creatine levels drop, the brain tires faster. Thinking feels harder. Decision-making slows down. You feel heavy. By restoring creatine levels, many people report not just better physical endurance, but improved alertness, quicker reactions, and even a lift in mood, especially during times of stress, poor sleep, or emotional fatigue. I often share this analogy with my patients. If you've ever driven a car with a weak battery, you know how it struggles to start in the morning. That's how your body feels when creatine is low. A good charge can change everything. And here's what's remarkable. You don't need much. Just 3 to 5 grams per day, about a teaspoon of pure creatine monohydrate, is enough to produce real, measurable results in muscle strength and brain clarity, especially when taken consistently. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Daniel, 71, a retired architect. He came in complaining of feeling slow, not in pain, not sick, but sluggish. Walking up his porch steps felt like a task. His grip strength had noticeably declined. And perhaps most concerning to him, he struggled to remember names at family gatherings. We added creatine to his daily blend, just 1 scoop. 3 weeks later, he returned. Not sprinting, but gliding. "I didn't think I'd ever feel strong again," he said. "Not like I used to, but now I'm not afraid of movement anymore. I trust my body again." That's what creatine offers. Not speed, not stimulation, but stability. A quiet return of trust in your body. And unlike many synthetic treatments, creatine has been shown to be remarkably safe. Even with long-term use, as long as hydration is maintained and proper dosage is followed. Now, let's take a breath here. We've awakened hormones with maca. We've calmed inflammation with ginger and turmeric. We've restored metabolic clarity with cinnamon. We've cleared the mind with cocoa. We've recharged the muscles and brain with creatine. So, what's next? The final piece of this natural formula is not a spice or a root you'll find in your kitchen, but a sacred herb used for centuries in traditional medicine. It is the one that brings balance to the whole system, not just physically, but emotionally, hormonally, and spiritually. Its name is ashwagandha, and in many ways, it is the conductor of this biological orchestra we've been building. We'll meet it in the next part of our journey. Ashwagandha, the deep harmonizer of stress, sleep, and inner balance. You've strengthened your body. You've cleared your mind. You've restored the flow of energy. But if there's one thing I've learned after decades in the field of midlife and senior health, it's this. A strong body without emotional balance is like a tall ship with no anchor. It may look powerful, but it's at the mercy of every wave. And in today's world, with constant demands, late night worries, shifting hormones, and a racing mind, that anchor is more essential than ever. That's where ashwagandha comes in. Used for thousands of years in traditional Ayurvedic medicine, ashwagandha is what we call an adaptogen, a rare class of herbs that help the body adapt to stress, stabilize hormonal function, and restore internal harmony. But what sets ashwagandha apart is not just what it does, it's how deeply and quietly it works. Let me give you an image. Imagine your nervous system as a set of tight violin strings. Over time, through stress, illness, sleepless nights, or hormonal shifts, those strings become too taut. You begin to feel it. Your sleep becomes light, disturbed. Your heart races more easily. Your mind replays conversations from days ago. You feel anxious for no clear reason. You wake up tired, even after a full night in bed. Ashwagandha doesn't numb those feelings. It doesn't block them. It retunes the strings. At the biochemical level, ashwagandha has been shown to reduce cortisol, the body's main stress hormone. When cortisol stays high, as it often does after age 50, it wreaks havoc on nearly everything. Your blood sugar, your sleep cycles, your testosterone levels, your immune function, even your sense of emotional well-being. By lowering cortisol, ashwagandha acts like a reset button for the entire stress response system, known medically as the HPA axis, hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal axis. This is the axis that governs your ability to stay calm under pressure, sleep deeply, focus clearly, and maintain hormonal balance. But the beauty of ashwagandha lies in its gentle wisdom. It doesn't sedate you. It doesn't artificially raise or lower anything. It helps your body remember how to regulate itself the way it used to, before the chaos, before the fatigue, before the overthinking. In clinical studies, ashwagandha has been associated with improved sleep, onset and quality, reduced symptoms of anxiety and low mood, increased testosterone and sperm quality in men, better hormonal balance in women approaching or experiencing menopause, enhanced physical performance and reduced fatigue in aging adults. But what truly makes ashwagandha powerful is how it completes the circle. Remember how maca started the journey by awakening your energy. Ashwagandha closes the journey by anchoring it. It ensures that the energy you've rebuilt through this formula, the strength, the clarity, the endurance doesn't become scattered, agitated, or lost in stress. Instead, it grounds you. And when used in combination with the other ingredients, maca, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, cocoa, and creatine, ashwagandha becomes the final chord in a 7-note symphony. It doesn't just work on its own. It harmonizes the whole. I've seen it again and again. One of my patients, 69 years old, recently retired, struggling with insomnia and anxiety, once told me, "Doc, I feel like my body is recovering, but my emotions are stuck." We added ashwagandha to her blend. 3 weeks later, she looked softer, lighter. "I feel like I can finally exhale," she said. That, dear friend, is what this ingredient brings. Not escape, but release. Not sedation, but restoration. So now, we've walked through all 7. 1. Maca, to awaken your inner hormones and energy. 2. Ginger, to calm the silent fires of inflammation. 3. Turmeric, to rewire the inflammatory circuits. 4. Cinnamon, to unlock your metabolic doors. 5. Cocoa, to brighten your mind and restore mental flow. Creatine, to recharge your muscles and brain. 7. Ashwagandha, to balance it all and ground your being. But knowing these is only the beginning. In the next and final part of this journey, I'll show you exactly how to combine, prepare, and use these ingredients so your body receives them in the right way, at the right time. Because healing is not just about knowledge, it's about consistency, simplicity, and care. How to prepare and use the blend daily, now that you know the 7 powerful ingredients. Here's how to turn them into a simple, effective daily habit. What you need. All in powder form, 1:1. 5 tablespoons each of maca root, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, cocoa, ashwagandha, 1 teaspoon 5g of creatine monohydrate. Make sure all ingredients are pure, organic, and unsweetened, no fillers, no sugar. How to mix. 1. Combine all powders in a clean bowl. 2. Mix well until evenly blended. 3. Store in a glass jar with a lid. Keep refrigerated. 4. One batch lasts about 3 to 5 days. How to take it daily. Take 1 tablespoon each morning before your first meal. Mix with warm water, lemon water, nut milk, or unsweetened yogurt. No sugar needed. The natural flavors will balance over time. Be consistent. That's the most important part. What to expect? Week 1. Better sleep, less fatigue, more mental calm. Week 2. Easier movement, clearer focus. Week 4. More strength, balanced mood. Steady energy. This is not a quick fix. It's a quiet, steady recovery. Take it every day. Stay patient. Let your body rebuild 1 spoonful at a time. The return. How to stay consistent and protect your progress. You've come this far. You've learned about the 7 natural ingredients, how they work, and how to prepare your daily blend. Now, the question is simple. How do you keep going? Because real change doesn't come from a single decision. It comes from daily repetition. Here are 3 simple steps to stay on track. 1. Make it a morning habit. Take your blend every morning before your first meal. Mix it with warm water, lemon water, or nut milk. Make it part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth. No overthinking, but just show up for your health. 2. Listen to your body as your energy returns. Protect it. Sleep well. Eat slowly. Say no to things that drain you. You don't need to do everything, you just need to do the right things consistently. 3. Share it with others. If this blend helps you, tell someone. Share your experience. Helping others heal will remind you why you started and keep you going. Final thoughts. You don't need extreme diets or strong medications. Just 1 spoon a day, backed by science, supported by nature, powered by your own commitment. Your body has been loyal to you for years. Now, it's your turn. Stay steady. Stay consistent. And you'll be surprised how far your body can go 1 small step at a time. The return. How to stay consistent and protect your progress. You've come this far. You've learned about the 7 natural ingredients, how they work, and how to prepare your daily blend. Now, the question is simple. How do you keep going? Because real change doesn't come from a single decision. It comes from daily repetition. Here are 3 simple steps to stay on track. 1. Make it a morning habit. Take your blend every morning before your first meal. Mix it with warm water, lemon water, or nut milk. Make it part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth. No overthinking. Just show up for your health. 2. Listen to your body. As your energy returns, protect it. Sleep well. Eat slowly. Say no to things that drain you. You don't need to do everything, you just need to do the right things consistently. 3. Share it with others. If this blend helps you, tell someone. Share your experience. Helping others heal will remind you why you started and keep you going. Final thoughts. You don't need extreme diets or strong medications. Just 1 spoon a day, backed by science, supported by nature, powered by your own commitment. Your body has been loyal to you for years. Now it's your turn. Stay steady, stay consistent, and you'll be surprised how far your body can go 1 small step at a time.